All right, a listener question that, well, applies to a lot of people. Is it fair to say you use live fire training primarily as a tool to diagnose problems and the correction of those problems happens in dry fire? I'm struggling to to identify the right exercise to fix a problem where my second shot is predictably and reliably low left. If I shoot a bill drill, the other shots are okay. It's just the second shot and to a lesser extent the third. So I know what's the problem. I push the gun down fighting the recoil until I get accustomed to it in a string of fire. I have no clue what to do or to fix it. Any thoughts? So, first off, the initial question. Fair to say you use live fire training primarily as a tool to diagnose problems and then correct them with dry fire? 1,000% yes. That is the name of the game. Because most of us don't have unlimited ammo and access to just walk out our door to a shooting range. So the bulk of the changes to your habits have to be done at home in dry fire. You build habits for the way you do things, whether they're good or bad habits, that remains to be seen. Then you go to the range, fire live ammo, observe what happens or is happening or isn't happening or should be happening. Then go back to your dry fire training to try to change the habits you have, build new ones, go back to the range, observe what happens. Good, better, ugly, back and forth. Just keep going. So that is the path to success, in my opinion. So for the specific issue, so it's the second shot pushing low and left. What I would suggest is happening is you grip the gun, however you grip it, the gun goes off. Then afterwards, push into the gun trying to stop it. There can be a couple different things. A primary one that I see a lot of is just call it dry fire grip. What that means is at home doing dry fire training, you draw the gun, you could be nice and relaxed. You don't even have to hang on to it super hard. Just draw the gun and like no big deal. But then when you go to the range and you fire live ammo, all of a sudden this thing kicks like a mule. It's loud, cycles, there's brass flying out. It's way different and you have to hold on to it. So the situation is you draw the gun, you fire the first shot, you realize how much it's kicking, and your grip changes because you didn't have the proper grip pressure when you drew it. Remember, I just said habits, good or bad, remains to be seen. This would be a bad habit. First place to start is making sure you're gripping the gun hard at home in dry fire. Just like you mean to, like you're going to fire with live ammo in it. So you just check, you could do is if you're reacting to a random beep or something like that, draw the gun. Then just for a split second, check, are your hands in the right spot? Do you have the right tensions? Are you clamping down hard? And is that a habit? So doing that for your dry fire training for a week, go to the range and check it. Otherwise, it was happening. That's going to be the primary cause on your second shot. Another thing that happens commonly is people just see the sight recoiling from staring at the dot and they want to push down to stop it from doing that. That's also a common thing that happens, but normally you wouldn't stop doing that after the second shot. That would be more like on the pairs, the fast doubles drill where you're shooting a pair of shots. It starts to kick, you push down, let it settle, it starts to kick, you push down. Along those lines. So what's happening second shot, I would start with your grip. The other, a good drill just for working on pressing the trigger straight without pushing into the gun is a drill called trigger control at speed. For that drill, reacting to a random timer, a random start signal, have your gun up, sight aligned on target, your finger just out of contact with the trigger. When you get the beep, mash through the trigger immediately. And I mean, as soon as you hear the B starting, jam through the trigger. And what you're looking is for the sight to move, not at all. If you have a factory Glock with a 5 or 6 pound trigger, that's probably not going to be realistic, but you're still looking for as perfect as you can make it. Paying attention to it at a like a big picture, any little amount of pushing into the gun, even if it's a little bit, you want to get rid of that. Sometimes when people press the trigger, the thumb moves also. So you'll notice that, or that people like the pinky pressure kind of stuff, or using like their bottom two fingers, like ring finger and pinky, to clamp down the gun, and the other fingers relax. You'll see like some part of the hand flexing or moving. Any of those things are things you don't want. When you press the trigger, you want to just move your trigger finger. There is some doctor in the comments can correct me, but there's a situation where sometimes the muscles or tendons separating the thumb from the trigger finger are connected in a way, or they're too tight, where there is a little sympathetic movement, but you're just looking to not have big kind of changes or the whole hand flexing or moving. Instead, you want to just pull the trigger with your trigger finger, not the rest of your hand. But that drill's a good one to also work on not pushing into the gun or trying to stop the gun from recoil or anticipating it. Starting with your finger just out of contact with the trigger is good. Then as you progress more and more, you get your finger further away or even out of the trigger guard alongside the frame, or maybe touching the trigger with just a half a pound of pressure, something like that. Not necessarily a prep and press, but just starting to apply pressure. You could start from there. You could do prep and press, start from there. You could do any variety you want to. The closer you get your finger to the trigger and the more pressure you already have applied, the lot easier it's going to be to release the shot without adding input. So the farther you get your finger away from the trigger, the tougher the drill will be. But it's an easy one just to work on in dry fire. Then you can head to the range and just check your results. See what you're getting. So hopefully that makes sense. Gives you a few things to work on in your training. If you have any more questions or drills I can help with or try to diagnose your shooting, any of that kind of junk, drop it below in the comments. I do read those and try to make videos to get them addressed.